Okay, hello everybody. I am just going to check and make sure everything is streaming correctly, and then we have sound. In a second. Yeah, good. We have sound, we have liftoff. That is great. All right. Let's get everything organized here. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome. I'm Noi, and welcome to Phoenix Over 40 and our weekly live training. Today, I'm coming at you from a little bit of a different place. I'm coming at you from Rapid City, South Dakota, where I have been visiting my sister for the last few weeks and freezing my butt off. I am in her basement right now. So if you hear people stepping upstairs, they're having dinner. It is 6 o'clock here in South Dakota right now. But so just ignore the background noise. I don't have my normal equipment. So just bear with me for this particular training. My kids got to join me up here all of last week, and I'm so blessed to have been able to spend this time with them. Even got 2 extra days thanks to a good old snowstorm. But I am really ready to head home to the warmth of Hawaii. Let me tell you, I really am. So, there are 2 ways that you can join me live today. You can either join me live by the Zoom link that is in the description there in the group, or by Facebook Live in our Phoenix Over 40 group. And if you want to interact with me, ask any questions, show me love, I would love it if you would join me by Zoom, because that is the only way to communicate in real time. The Facebook feed is about 20 seconds late or so. So by the time I actually see questions or comments on the Facebook, I've already moved on to the next subject. So if you would like, or so if you do decide though to join me by Zoom, just be sure to have your microphone muted so that the focus, for Zoom doesn't switch to you while I'm trying to present. But if you do choose to stay on Facebook, totally fine. I would still love it if you would still engage with me, give me likes and emojis and comments in the comments section, because I will still get a chance to see all of it when I check it later. And along with it being good for my ego, it tells Facebook that my videos are valuable, which prompts Facebook then to give more people notifications about them. And even if you're catching this on the replay, show me love in the comments, because every little like and comment increases my algorithm, which increases my ability to influence the women that I want to help the most. Because I'm on a mission to heal the world by healing our women. And in this video, I'm going to be discussing the biggest and hardest transition that I have ever experienced, my divorce in 2017 at the age of 40. Because it's the reason why I am who I am today and why I do what I do. You may have noticed the group, the Phoenix Over 40 group name changed. I decided, after much prayer and soul searching, that I really do have a heart specifically for reaching out to those women that are going through the mayhem of divorce. If you knew me, before, honestly, you wouldn't even recognize me, because everything about me is better now. My body, my mind, my relationships, my career, my connection to God, everything. And it's because of what I learned after my divorce and going through my divorce. Learning the things that I'm about to share with you in this video has allowed me to become my own biggest hero. And my passion now is helping other women become theirs. I want to help women rise from the ashes happier, healthier, and hotter, because I truly believe that women are the silent sufferers in our society who have the ability to make the most impact. That's what it means by heal our world, by healing our women. If I believe, we're the ones that we bring life into this world. We're the primary nurturers and the project managers of our families. Statistically, we're the ones who show up at the PTA meetings and volunteer at the community events. We're the ones who mitigate risks and implement strategies to help make our men more successful, whether they want to admit it or not. We often run the show from behind the curtain, but make no mistake, we run the show. And we simply cannot afford to put our dreams, our goals, and our health on hold any longer. I'm going to be sharing with you the secret to upgrading your identity, because the truth is the reason why 98% of cookie cutter fad diet and exercise programs and self-improvement programs fail in the long term is because they focus so much on the external game, what we're doing outside, and they don't do enough with the internal game. And if it's acceptable to you, I would like to share with you my internal game when my divorce happened, so that I can use specific examples from it when I'm explaining exactly how to recreate the success that I accomplished. Is that okay with you? Drop a thumbs up in the comment section if you will give me about maybe 10, 15 minutes top, just to share my struggle so that I can fully explain how I was able to come back and achieve my successes, because it all starts with my identity and how it led to my downfall. And this is probably a story that will echo in the hearts and minds of many out there. There will probably be things that you identify with, and there may be things that you don't, and that's fine. But a story not shared does not serve. And so I'm offering my story here today as an explanation and hopefully a story of triumph and truth. So it starts off with my identity. Who am I? Well, first of all, I am Hawaiian. I grew up in Hawaii. My parents were both raised in Hawaii, and I am part Native Hawaiian, 25% Native Hawaiian. That is where Noi comes from. It's a weird name, I know, but it's short for Kanoi Lanio Ko'olau. And Noi is the name that I've been called by my family and friends since I was born. Another big piece of my identity is I'm the oldest of 5 children. 5, Catholic and military family. So I often felt like I have the weight of the world put on me at a very young age. Are there any other oldest children out there? If put a comment into the comment section or a thumbs up and just say oldest if you're an oldest child and you can identify, because I think if you were to look up the definition of oldest child syndrome, there would probably be my picture right there next to it. I am just a super responsible, somewhat socially awkward, if I'm honest, a natural people pleaser, and a perfectionist to a fault. The day after my high school graduation, literally the day after, my dad moved our entire family to Rapid City, South Dakota. That's right here where my sister still lives. And he convinced me to attend a small college in the area so that I could be closer to the family. So I gave up on my dreams of going to college in California and working in Silicon Valley to stay close and help care for my family. But within the first few months of moving out here, we all had a bomb dropped on us. We discovered that my dad was having an affair with a woman at his office, and my mom, heartbroken, needing to start her life over again, returned to her family and her old job in Hawaii, leaving me and my siblings in South Dakota with my dad. She was 45, and the man she had given 23 years to rejected and replaced her. She needed to heal herself. She needed to be surrounded by her family, and she simply couldn't afford to take care of my 4 siblings in one of the most expensive states on her own. I actually admire her now for making that very brave decision, but at the time, I felt stuck in South Dakota. It was an ecosystem, a weather system, a culture that is almost polar opposite to what I knew growing up in Hawaii. I felt so alone and so out of place, and I was willing to do anything to find belonging and love and acceptance, including compromising my identity. The second semester of my freshman year in college, I met who would become my future husband. And he was transferring in from another college after Christmas break. We were both 18, and in the middle of one of the harshest winters on record. He was handsome and charismatic. He was also an oldest child in his family, so he understood the whole people-pleasing and perfectionism involved in that mindset. He was so dreamy, and all the girls wanted him, believe me, but he actually went out of his way to pursue me. The first boy to ever do that in my life. I didn't date in high school at all. I went to an all-girls private Catholic school. I was the good girl that stayed home, and I fell head over heels for him really quickly. But even then, sorry, I accidentally do that. Even then, I saw some major red flags very early on. He didn't like the way that I dressed. He didn't like the friends that I had. He didn't like the music I listened to. In fact, he pretty much didn't like the way I was or anything about me, except for my hotness and my innocence, which he told me was the only reason he continued to keep me around. Oh, believe me, I saw the red flags. I just chose to ignore all of them because I felt so alone in this strange culture. And honestly, I really fell in love with his family. His parents have now been married well over 50 years, both loyal to each other. They go out of their way to help their children in any way possible. They, at the time, welcomed me with open arms, and I wanted so much to be loved and to belong to their family because mine was literally falling apart. Our value systems, however, were very different. And if I was honest with myself at the time, I didn't agree with most of the way that he saw the world. Honestly, he was really pretty disrespectful person to me. He teased me about my insecurities every chance he got. He compared me to other women as a way to inspire me to be better, even telling me straight to my face that the only reason he wanted a wife was to make kids. But I didn't know any better. My dad honestly didn't treat my mother much differently. So I learned to absorb his values as my own and push down that inner voice that told me this was not a good idea. A year and a half later, we were pregnant, age 20, and we're having a shotgun wedding at age 21. And although I knew he wasn't perfect for me, I felt like it was too late to change my mind. We were having a kid together. And so I stuffed down my dreams and my goals and my likes and dislikes and just became whatever he wanted me to be so that I could be loved and accepted by him. He felt a strong calling to enter the ministry, and I admired that. And after 4 years in seminary, he became a minister in the Methodist Church. But the problem is being a pastor is a lot like being a politician because you live your life under a spotlight, constantly judged. And when you're a people pleaser and a perfectionist by nature anyway, it's really easy to feel like you need to please everyone in your congregation, whether you agree with them or not. We had about 1,200 bosses. And honestly, church people can be the most unreasonable and demanding people on this planet. I am not kidding. Not long after our first appointment in the church, the stress of making everyone happy started really shaking up his anxiety. And we discovered that he had obsessive compulsive disorder, had been dealing with it since he was 13 years old. Within the first few months of his first pastorate, he was so stressed out, he developed hives all over his body for 4 straight months, all due to stress. And that was the beginning of the end, because he started to self-medicate by numbing out on alcohol and any other anti-anxiety medication the doctors would prescribe him. And because I loved him and was personally invested in his success, I dedicated my life to trying to protect him from any stress and anxiety that I possibly could control. When it came to the kids, I would take care of all logistics. When it came to our relationship, I would be at his beck and call and do anything he asked, even though it never felt like anything I ever did made him happy. When it came to our finances, I would work extra jobs while taking care of the kids and had to change those jobs every few years because the church would move us. I would even involve myself in his ministry and fill any positions that he needed. I was his youth minister. I was his worship leader, the associate pastor. I ran the Advent festivals and the dance ministry, you name it. If he needed someone, I was the first to volunteer because I wanted to be loved and accepted by him. And I believed it was my role. It was my identity as his wife to protect him from stress. Because if I didn't, he would come home and become a totally different person every evening and make sure that all of us felt his anxiety. Being the perfect wingman that I was, it was natural for me to fall into job positions where I did exactly the same thing. I've been in support staff positions in 9 different industries over 20 years, always working behind the scenes to make other people successful. I was so good at prioritizing everyone else around me. I had totally lost touch with my own dreams, with my own goals, my own happiness, and especially my own body. Trying to avoid the feelings of stress that I was constantly fighting and all of the uncomfortable emotions, I would turn to food for comfort and often binge on fast food every chance that I got. I developed food addictions to the point where I couldn't even be around food without needing to eat it. If somebody brought bagels or donuts for the office, it didn't matter if I wanted them or if I even liked them. I was powerless to avoid them. And I'd often eat 3 to 5 of them in one sitting. But it was simply not acceptable in my perfectionist husband's eyes, and honestly, in my perfectionist eyes as well, my people-pleasing eyes, to ever gain weight. And so I always felt like I had to punish myself for every moment of weakness that I committed with crazy workouts and starvation diets and eating disorders, all of which would provide temporary results, but confuse my body and further complicate my health. We were together for 20 years before I noticed that my body was completely revolting against me. I had developed 7 stress-related illnesses, including hypertension, acid reflux, Barrett's esophagus, fibromyalgia, early onset menopause, and even though I didn't know it at the time, cancer. My habits of putting everybody's needs above mine, abusing my body, and stifling my inner wisdom had resulted in a situation that I could no longer ignore, and I was forced to choose: leave my husband or continue slowly watching myself deteriorate. To be honest, he wasn't happy with me either, and we both decided to amicably end our marriage. And I did all the paperwork naturally, and he signed it, and in 21 days we were officially divorced. He moved on with another woman and I moved home to be with my family so that I could heal just like my mother had. But just because our marriage ended peacefully doesn't mean it didn't absolutely kill us. There are no winners in divorce. It's a lose-lose game because a major part of our identity is that marriage and the life that we built together with each other. I didn't know who I was apart from him. We'd been together since I was 18 years old. And here I was, 40, and having to start all over. My identity had been wrapped up in being useful to him, to his churches, to my bosses, to our kids. And now I had none of that. It was the darkest time of my life. I knew I needed to change, but I had no idea where to start. Everything, literally everything about me, my body, mind, spirituality, career, everything needed a complete overhaul. And I was so overwhelmed and felt so alone. Both of us share fault in the creation, the dysfunction, and the dissolution of that relationship. And the very first thing I needed to do was take responsibility for my part in it and my inner game, the thoughts and belief systems that created the identity that had betrayed me. In this live training, I'm going to teach you how to upgrade your identity so that you can have, and rise from the ashes faster and even more efficiently than I did. And I want to help you, if you are in this situation, overhaul your life and influence your communities and families, and especially your daughters, to do better. Because divorce recovery is more than just healing your heart and letting go of your past. It's about reshaping yourself better, stronger, and wiser than before, so that you can reconnect to those dreams that you put to the side for so long. And you can avoid making the same mistakes and instead attract the right kind of people, the kind of life, the kind of habits that will support you and not hold you back. And here's the truth. It's more than changing what you do. You need to change who you are. A caterpillar does caterpillar things. A butterfly does butterfly things. We need to upgrade our identity and become our bravest self. Let me explain. Our identity is a collection of beliefs that we have about the world, about ourselves, and about our place in it. Another word for this might be worldview or ecology. You see, when we're born, our brain was a blank slate, ready to absorb as much information as possible about finding love and safety and belonging. These are the three things that we are wired as humans to need. As we grew up, the people around us, the experiences we had, everything started feeding our brain information about the world. And from that information, our brain created our belief systems. Every time a belief system was reinforced, meaning it was proven true once again, that belief became stronger and more ingrained in our subconscious mind so that it could be executed without thinking, becoming automatic programs or habits, because our beliefs and our thoughts create our feelings, which create our actions and behaviors, which create the results, which reinforce the belief. For instance, as an oldest child, I was taught that I was responsible for the happiness and well-being of my siblings. It was reinforced in me by my parents many times. And, they would punish me when I ignored my siblings. They would tell me that I had to share everything with them. They'd put me in charge to babysit them. They'd tell me over and over again that I was supposed to be leading by example, getting the best grades, doing all of that stuff. This belief system became so ingrained in me throughout childhood that my brain started craving being needed by others without even realizing that I was doing it. I started looking for opportunities to be responsible for the happiness and well-being of everyone else in my life. I was attracted to needy friends who would always ask for things of me, but rarely show me the same consideration when I needed help from them. I fell for and married a man who convinced me to change everything about myself to make him happy and take care of all the logistics of his life so that he wouldn't have to. I'd work at jobs where I was never given as much as I gave. I was always underpaid and overworked. My bosses would just heap extra responsibilities on me because they knew that I could handle it, that I would always follow through, sometimes at my own detriment. But they very rarely appreciated me for my effort. All of our belief systems, especially the ones that we developed as children, create our identity. And the funny thing is, we might start off creating our identity, but eventually our identity begins to create us. See, our brains are made of billions of neurons that link together in a certain way to create a thought. When a thought is thought over and over again, those neurons actually get bigger and stronger because the neurotransmitters here in the middle recognize that path. Our belief systems are series of thoughts that have been reinforced so many times that the myelin sheath around each neuron involved gets so thick And those thought patterns become automatic programs, which means they automatically trigger behaviors and habits as a result of those thoughts. Like my example above, my belief about being responsible for the happiness and well-being of others started off as a normal oldest sister expectation. My parents didn't mean to burden me with this identity. They were both the oldest children too. It was something that was reinforced to them. But it was reinforced so much over and over again that it began to take on a life of its own, to the point that my brain couldn't help but execute the codependent belief system and seek out people and situations to prove it right. Ladies, by the time we're in our middle ages, decades of reinforced belief systems have established Golden Gate Bridge-sized programs in our brains, and it is nearly impossible to change them. In fact, whenever we try, for instance, wanting a job that pays more, going after a new position at a new job, say we want something that pays more than a mere secretary and provides more benefits. No matter how qualified we are, no matter how much experience we might be able to bring to the table, most likely we will sabotage that effort, either by not showing up as our best self in the interview, maybe obsessing over the reasons why we can't do it, maybe by not spending the needed amount of time on our resume or our cover letter, or just not even applying. Our brain runs the very belief systems that have proven themselves right in the past, even if they keep us from becoming our bravest self now. In order to rise from the ashes and become happier, healthier, and hotter, you have to upgrade your identity and become your bravest self. This is not about doing the right things or following the right plan or even implementing some cookie cutter strategy. No, those things may offer temporary momentum because they're like sprinting during a game of freeze tag. Remember that freeze tag? We can sprint here and there and then stop when we get frozen. But if we spend our whole lives sprinting, and we try to then run a marathon, we would not have the physical ability to do it. The same thing with our brain. Our identity becomes so ingrained in our subconscious that our only hope is to upgrade the actual programming itself. As a health and life coach, that's exactly what I help women do, upgrade their belief systems so that their behaviors can become more in line with who they want to be in the future. If we want to become happier, healthier, and hotter, we have to upgrade our identity. So there are 3 things you need to upgrade your identity. And those 3 things are, number 1, exchanging chaos for curiosity. Number 2, breaking down barriers. And number 3, lighting your phoenix fire. Let me explain. Exchanging chaos for curiosity is an exercise of awareness. It's an exercise of looking at your life through the eyes of a detective and following the signs of chaos in order to understand your thoughts better. Our bodies, minds, relationships, they're all clues to our internal belief systems that we have. A tree is judged by its fruit. If it has apples, it's an apple tree. If it has oranges, it's an orange tree. Our outer game is a giant reflection of our inner game. To have the relationship, the body, the career, the money, the stress level that you have right now, it's because you subconsciously chose it. Now, I address this topic in a 4-part series of videos that I created called Moving from Chaos to Curiosity. If you would like to learn more about this topic and how to convert your mind into that of a detective and identify and deal with chaos in your life, I suggest sending me a DM or dropping the word curious into the comment section, and I will send you a link to the first video of that series, which is this one, The Blueprint for Becoming Your Bravest Self. Now, the second step for upgrading your identity is you have to learn how to break down barriers. We need to learn the right strategies to diffuse the booby traps of our brain and rewire them. But that can sometimes feel like a game of chutes and ladders. Do you remember that game? Because 1 minute we think we're making a great stride and we're like, oh yeah, we're going up a ladder, awesome. But the next minute we go sliding right down a slide, and we're faced with procrastinations and feeling of overwhelm, and sometimes just an uncontrollable backslide binge. We create our identity, and then our identity creates us, remember? There are specific ways that our brain keeps us from change, such as fear, for instance. And learning the secrets to break them down and convert fear into fuel comes in handy when you start the process of changing. I also did another four-part series on this topic called Breaking Down Barriers. And if you're interested in learning these little weapons of mass instruction, DM me or drop the word barrier into the comment section, and I will be happy to send you a link by messenger. The last piece of the puzzle, though, and this is my passion, we need to set the Phoenix fire. The Phoenix fire is the blueprint for becoming your bravest self. It is the formula you need to rewire your belief systems to work for and not against you. You see, fire is powerful. Fire changes the chemical structure of anything that it touches. And after it, that thing is no longer the same. My Phoenix fire methodology was created by me and is patterned after the concepts of real fire because it does the same thing. As a Girl Scout, that's right, I was a Girl Scout, I learned the art of making a successful fire. And fire requires 3 things in order to exist. Those 3 things are heat, fuel, and oxygen. Fuel is the thing we often focus the most on. It is the wood that you stick into the fireplace or the fire pit. It is or even it might be charcoal, or it might be whatever it is you're trying to burn. Oftentimes that's where we think it starts and stops. But the truth is you need the spark. That's the heat. You need that spark to ignite that fuel. And then you need the oxygen in and around that fuel in order for it to keep going. Because if you just clump all the wood together and there's no oxygen in between all that wood, it's just going to extinguish or not light in the first place. Now in the Phoenix fire, I use each of these elements as a metaphor for the 3 things that you need to upgrade your identity and become your bravest self. And those are a compelling vision, that's the heat, a strategic plan, that's the fuel, and support and accountability throughout, which is the oxygen that keeps it going. Now, I'm going to be going into more detail about this over the next 3 weeks. I'm going to break down each week one of these pieces of the Phoenix fire, one element at a time. Without all 3, it's nearly impossible to successfully rewire your belief systems and get into the new identity of your bravest self, which is why it is important to understand how each of these elements works in order to build your unique Phoenix fire. So if you're done with repeating the same patterns, attracting the same people, making the same mistakes, you definitely need to tune in over the next 3 weeks so you can create the blueprint for your bravest self and finally achieve the life of your dreams. And if you would like to get a jump start on it, I am offering every member of my group a free breakthrough session. What a breakthrough session is this is a 45-minute exercise by Zoom. In this exercise, we take sort of a bird's eye view of your life and what areas of your life need attention the most. Then we develop a clear and compelling vision. And that is the first part. This clear and compelling vision is something that you need to ignite this fire. Together, we create that vision of your bravest self and then identify the challenges and what's currently holding you back. By the time you're done with this breakthrough session, you are able to know your next best step forward, whatever that looks like. So if you're interested in getting a jump start, comment the word breakthrough in the comment section, or you can DM me if you would rather do it that way, and we will get that set up. there's really nothing to lose and your bravest self to gain. Just to recap, to rise from the ashes of your midlife divorce, happier, healthier, and hotter than before, and actually make it stick long term, you need to upgrade your identity. And you do that by exchanging chaos for curiosity, learning how to break down barriers, and lighting your Phoenix fire. Oh, thank you for joining me today. But before we go, I'm super curious, Phoenixes. What excites you the most about what you learned today? Share your answers with each other in the comment section below so that we can ignite some energy around this movement. I want to heal our world by healing our women, and then we can become happier, healthier, and hotter together. Thanks for joining me. I will see you next week as we go through the first of the Phoenix fire. Take care.